Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rizin podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I am joined by a very special guest and a guest who I've been meaning to get on for a long time. Finally, we could get him on. We got Christian Nunez from MMAGaming, a place that builds custom PCs for not only just anybody who's looking for one, but if you're an MMA fan, I would definitely say this is a place to go. Christian, thank you so much for talking to us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
So gotta ask, how did you get it? How did you become a fan? How did you start training? Getting into this crazy sport of MMA.
Well, I started training, I want to say a little over 4 years ago. But I mainly just train in jiu-jitsu. So I started training at a gym called Miller Brothers MMA. It's up in Northwest New Jersey, Sussex County. It later transitioned into what's called now Sussex County MMA. And I've been training under Jim Fitzpatrick. He's one of the black belts in the area, a pro fighter, undefeated pro fighter, a regional champ. And that's how I got into basically doing jiu-jitsu. I left playing soccer and I started jiu-jitsu a little bit late, into my late 30s. So I wanted to find something that was going to have longevity, low center of impact sport, not so genuine, not so crazy on my knees, as you could say. But now, as there's heel hooks out there, I realize I gotta be more careful. But I just wanted a sport that I could grow old into, and that's how I got into this whole MMA thing with the gym and training with everyone else there.
I hope you just like me, you make great use of those Bernard Ferreira videos, jiu-jitsu for older folk.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, I do go on BJJ Fanatic sometimes and look at his stuff, but I'm still trying to pass the guard standing. I'm still trying to, pummel in with shin pummel in and start to do things like working my butterfly guard. So I'm still not there at the old man jiu-jitsu yet.
Are you mind if I ask what your ranking is currently?
Yeah, I'm a purple belt.
Oh, cool, cool. And so, do you see yourself staying in the sport? Do you see yourself staying in the sport for long? Becoming black belt? I don't know. Is ADCC something in your dreams and hopes? I don't know. What are your grappling hopes?
Yeah, I mean, grappling, it's definitely my hobby. But as I grew into it, I actually became pretty proficient in it. And with the surrounding coaches in the area, especially at the gym at Sussex County MMA, it really gave me like an eye opener of saying like, oh wait, I could actually go and compete. I could actually, like, I'm an instructor at Sussex County MMA. I do teach some of the classes there, and it's remarkable, like in such a short period of time under Jim in 4 years, how I've pretty much progressed, which has now given me like the opportunity to start thinking about maybe more the competition side. I have competed, but now I'm starting to think like maybe I should start doing more serious competitions. And then if wherever the road takes me, if it takes me into maybe one day opening up my own little jiu-jitsu hole in the wall and having my own mats, that would be great. If I'm under Jim at Sussex County MMA for the rest of my life and getting a black belt under him, I'd be content with that. But I do see it being an instrumental part of my growth and like having it till, I'm an old man and teaching it to my kids too.
Hmm. And so people, regular listeners, watchers, know that we mainly talk about Japanese MMA here in Japanese kickboxing. You might be wondering, why are we talking about video games? Why are we inviting you on? It's because we have talked about video games before. We talked about Fire Pro Wrestling. We've talked about, I just remember the other game, King of the Coliseum. We've done some video game talk. It's also my show, so I can talk about whatever I want. So I want to invite you on because you talked to one of my colleagues on MMAsoccer.com. I think it was Jeremy Brand. And I just thought like, this is fascinating because, a lot of people have this, maybe 20 years ago when MMA was still in its infancy or combat sports. I never would say infancy, but when it started, it was definitely more, these were, mostly, I guess, gym rats, gym bros who, the typical, I guess if you, I don't know like the guys like in dodgeball, the villains in dodgeball, those are the types of guys that would compete and train. But now with people like Izzy, Mark Hunt famously became addicted to I think it was World of Warcraft. I think it was a lot of MMA guys do video games, and I think that still surprises a lot of people who are in like that, like, oh, you do that, and then you also play video games. So I'm just curious, do people get surprised when you tell them that like you're into video games and tech stuff?
I think the tech side, they do get surprised. I come from a software development background. So on the side, that is one of my little side hustles, that I am a software consultant and developer. So I am already a PC geek or nerd. But people at the gym, it kind of happened organically, where I noticed a lot of grapplers and even the strikers and just the pro fighters who are doing both. They're all gamers. A lot of them are gamers. And I started catching on quick that, during the pandemic, there was a struggle to get good computer parts. Everybody was kind of like, the GPUs are overpriced. There's no way we could build computers right now. And I know how to build computers. And since being like a hardware and software guy, I thought to myself, looks like there's a little bit of like a demand here. So what I did was I started building, basically a prototype gaming computer, and sold it to a colleague at work. He liked it. And then it got a little bit of buzz with some of my colleagues at work. And then I built one for someone at the gym. He enjoyed it. And then next thing you know, someone else said, hey, I heard you built this computer for so-and-so. Could I get a computer too? And I want these specs. And I said, sure. And then it just evolved into like an MMA theme, where I started naming all the series after particular types of finishing moves and positions. And then there's characters in the series. And then my original goal was like, oh, if I could sell 10 computers in a year, I'd be happy. And I ended up selling like 12 computers like in the first 2 months. So it just really took off. And now I'm just, enjoying it and building it for people, and it just grew organically.
Okay. So what makes MMA gaming different, and I'll say better than the competition? Because when I think of custom PC, the one company that always comes up, I don't know what they used to come up, was Alienware. That used to be like the company you would always see, Alienware, on every, like, whether it's like a StarCraft tournament or Dota tournament, every computer would be Alienware. So but I know that other companies have come since then. Tell me what makes MMA gaming different and better than others.
Okay, sure. So Alienware is a good example. So Alienware is basically a system integrator. They're like a big box system integrator. System integrator meaning that they take all the graphics cards, the CPUs, and they start doing configurations into their own product line, saying, oh, we have our entry level, our mid level, and our high level. And a company like Alienware will just say, we're going to do like these 3 or 4 types of products. And it's going to be very cookie cutter, right? It's not going to be designed for a specific user. Where at MMAGaming, we would say, hey, Andrew, what are the games you like to play? What are also your creative initiatives and projects? So that kind of that dialogue removes the stress of, say, oh, do I got to go to Alienware and look at their 3 computers and this is all I got? Or am I just going to make a choice based on anxiety because of my budget? So we eliminate that anxiety. We eliminate that pressure for someone to just see something and go, I got to buy it because it's in my budget. I got to buy it because it's the latest and greatest. We actually retrofit everyone into their own individual computer. And we do have pre-built computers here at MMAGaming, but normally when we speak with the customer, we start basically benchmarking, okay, we're going to make these adjustments into the pre-built. So that's software adjustments, optimizing it a specific way. Maybe we take out a graphics card and put in a different graphics card and reconfigure it for them. Like a product like Alienware, you're not going to get that. You're just going to see what they have to offer. And some of the computers might be overkill, and some of them might be underwhelming. And also our computers are sexier. They look super nice.
So I believe that is one of them that you have behind you, right? Is that correct?
This is one of them. Yeah, there's actually another one in the back. Let me see if I can turn this. Hopefully that helped a bit. I know there's a glare. Maybe if I hit the light.
Yep, no, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, so these are basically how the computers come out. I use a specific type of case where you have basically visibility around the entire computer from the front and side panels. I'm big on the RGB, the lighting. Some people aren't, but I do customize the fans. They're very air cooled, efficient. So there's no saturation of air. Everything is built with the right components, the best CPUs, the best GPUs out there. And also there's just some customers that will say, hey, listen, I don't want the RGB. I want it to look sleek and black like a ninja, you know? And so absolutely, we'll do those configurations for them. But if you can't see it in the glare, I apologize. But hopefully you get an idea. You can also go to the website and you'll see. And we also customize for a lot of teens and kids that are looking for specific themes like Marvel. We did a build for Eric Cowell, who's the editor-in-chief at My MMA News, and we did a build for his son. There's a video out there and about it, and I basically went with the Alien versus Predator theme, and so inside his build, there's basically these action figures inside running around fighting each other. It's a pretty cool experience especially for like a child or for a teenager or even an adult. Some adults will come to me and they go, hey, can you give me like a Marvel theme? And I'll go ahead and do that for them.
Mm-hmm. So is it just, I know it's called MMA Game, but I guess I don't know if there are some people out, I don't know, there's gotta be people, I know there's people out there that just want a PC, but they don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of just, going to a Best Buy and just trying to figure out everything. Do you just does MMA Gaming also just do like, if I want just to get a regular PC just so I can have something that's going to last me a long time and I can just do Adobe, Photoshop, video editing, and just something that will be like that? Is that something MMA Gaming does as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we encounter customers that are content creators who are, hey, listen, I'm not doing gaming. And can you build me a computer that will have a 3090 Ti, that'll have the fastest SSD, the fastest CPU, whether that's Intel or AMD, and we configure it for them. And sometimes it brings a little tear to my eyes that they're not going to be gaming, but I'm excited that they'll also tell a story through their creations, right? Through like Adobe Illustrator. Everyone, I guess, is a bit different, but we also get customers that come to us and say, hey, I don't want to do gaming and I don't even want to do content creation. Maybe they want to do some music production, but they already have a computer, but they seem like it still has life left in them, but they just don't have the budget to go out and buy a new computer. So what we also offer as a service is we help people reconfigure and upgrade their computers. So we'll take a look at their computer and go, hey, listen, you can get another 3 or 4 years out of this computer and it'll cost X amount of dollars. Does that fit your budget? And some people are like, yes, you give them my computer second life. And sometimes I'll slip it in there where I'll say to them, I'll upgrade your computer and just surprise them with the nice sleek look of a new MMA gaming computer. So I'll throw in the lights, or maybe I'll exchange the case out if they're okay with that. So from the outside, it looks like an MMA gaming computer, like a new one, but we are just upgrading them too, because of course everyone has a different budget and expectations with what they can spend.
What do you find? What is it that most people now are looking to upgrade? Is it the RAM? Is it the gigahertz? Is it the gigahertz, megahertz, whatever it is at this point? Like what is now like the that seems to be in demand, I guess, for what people want?
Sure, that's a great question. So I see a pattern where most folks are upgrading either their CPU, the central processing unit, or the GPU, the graphics processing unit. Those are kind of the two big marquee items in any system. Normally, folks will have the ability to upgrade their own RAM. That's not too complicated, even like a CPU or a GPU, but it's about optimizing those chips for them too. I tend to see those upgrades more where folks are, I have already a decent CPU, but my GPU is bottlenecking my performance. Or I have a great GPU, but my CPU at the time wasn't the best, and I just wanted the better GPU, but now my CPU is bottlenecking the GPU. And so it really also depends on what's bottlenecking, because it's idealistic that both components are at the same level, you know, the high-end CPU, the high-end GPU, and they move together. But unfortunately, we know that some folks, they can't buy everything high-end. So they have to make do with, I'll get maybe a high-end GPU, I'll get an entry-level CPU, and I'll cross that bridge another day when I get there. And that's where we come in and we go, hey, you don't have to do the big jump. No matter what CPU you get, this GPU is already handling most of the performance. So you don't need to go and overspend. And that's where we come in and we consult to make sure people get the right upgrades.
I'm curious to know as well. I know during the pandemic, or I guess, you know, during the early months of it, during the year of 2020, there like electronic parts were so hard to come by. You know, people are gonna get PS5s, people are gonna get Switches. Yeah, there was the whole, you know, the chip shortage. I think that was the whole thing. Was that at all? Was it hard to operate such a business and adventure under such conditions?
It was. In fact, it was probably the worst time to start.
Because I think you said you started during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm assuming like you chose that was the opportunity, or that was when you opened. I'm like, oh God, must have been very hard, because you're like, oh, let me do this, and it's suddenly like chip shortages and all the other shortages that in the world.
Yeah, it was funny because I had purchased my own gaming computer from a big box integrator, and when I got it, it was like super expensive. And I realized too at that point in time, I was like, I could have built this, I could have done it a bit cheaper, but I have to find the components, and that's where the grind comes in. Like when I decided to start MMAGaming during the pandemic, I realized this is going to be a bit difficult on how can I procure and how can I make contacts to find the right chips, to find the right GPUs, and also hope that if I buy in bulk or if I buy enough, that there will be demand. Certainly there was demand, but it was definitely a risk and something that I took into consideration when I started.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm also curious to know so is there a common game? So mostly I'm guessing it's mostly, yeah, gamers who come to you and want a custom PC. Is there a particular game that people that you hear from people? Oh, I want to make sure that my computer is upgraded for or customized for Warcraft, or I don't know, Final Fantasy 14. Is there like just a common game that you just hear most often?
Yeah. Most of the common games that I get asked about are Call of Duty, Warzone, people who are playing Halo, Fortnite. Most of like the younger crowd I see with Minecraft. But when I sort of see, and not that the other folks who are playing Call of Duty, I love playing Warzone. Not that they're not as serious into the machine that's needed, but I do get some customers that'll say, I want to play like Microsoft Flight Simulator, or I want to play Red Dead Redemption in 4K. And those games are pigs. Those games are going to require a lot of basically power behind the GPU and the CPU. So those are kind of the ones that I see where the high-end gamers, like meaning not the best gamers like gaming competitive, but the people that want to do VR, the folks that want to be in 4K, those individuals, when they come to me, the common theme is Microsoft Flight Simulator. I want to play Red Dead Redemption 2. I want to play the new Resident Evil or the Shadow of the Tomb Raider in high res. Then I start seeing a common theme in the games. But for the most part, everybody in that middle ground is, hey, I just want to play Call of Duty, and I want to play in 120, 140 frames per second on 1440p, right? Like in 2K.
Actually, you brought up a good point as well, and I totally forgot because I don't care about VR or Oculus or anything. So is it so have you, so as somebody who makes customized PC, you have to always be almost kind of like, I would say 10 steps ahead of what the next technology thing is. Before we had 4K, or now we have 8K already, and now VR. Is it like as it gets, like as this mountain of technology just keeps on seemingly getting upgraded, like seemingly like it seems like faster than ever, is it hard to keep up with everything that's like going on? And if somebody wants like an 8K VR compatible PC, is it just do you find yourself just like kind of almost, I guess, overwhelmed that like just like all this new change technology that's almost happening like seems like daily?
Yeah, I do at times. That's a great question, Andrew. A lot of times, what I'll see is when the technology is evolving rapidly, like you said, hey, so we still got people that are gaming comfortably on 1080p, right? And then we got folks that are, if I got a PC and I got an MMA gaming, I want to go with a 1440p or a 4K. And then of course you have like 8K gaming. One of the things that I do tell customers, as I'm always reading, I'm always in the mix, seeing the new chips, seeing the release date, seeing what's coming to the table. I do constantly remind some of my customers or even potential customers that it's okay to wait and see, meaning you don't have to have the best thing right now. You don't. I have some folks that come to me and they go, I have $4,000. What can you build me? And I said, for what you need, you only need $1,500 and you don't need to like overspend. And some folks, they just like to spend because, I get it. If you want to indulge. But with the technology advancing, some of the games have not caught up with the actual technology. So even if you have a $4,000, $5,000 computer, if you're not doing like content creation, if your expectations aren't to game in 8K, which there's probably 10 people in the world that are doing that right now with 60 frames per second, then it really starts becoming a question of really like, are you just going with the technology for the sake of saying I have the best and the greatest, or are you really keeping in line with, can the developers of the games keep up with that technology? And right now the games are not keeping up with the technology as it advances. So I kind of like stay back and watch, but eventually it will catch up because we're no longer looking at 1080p like 4 or 5 years ago. Now we're looking at 4K, which 4K 4 or 5 years ago was just a dream. Now we're there, and maybe 8K will be there in another 3 or 4 years when new technology in the development of the games catches up.
As somebody who's also in their 30s, I think you probably have memories of getting excited at the hearing about, oh, this game is 32 bits or 64 bits. And now it's like now like I'll tell you the difference. I can't tell the difference between 4K and 8K. Apparently some people can. Good for them. But like, we're of a different generation. We're like, oh, if it was 34 bit or 64 bits, hey, that's great. If it's 32 bits, that's great. But like, I just, it is like, and I remember, so when the original Crisis came out, I remember that was the one game that like was like you needed the best PC to play.
Yeah,
you have
Crisis,
anything that was like below specs would not play it. Right. And I remember just like, oof, I'm probably never gonna play this game ever. And now like literally the specs for that game are like, I can't remember. They're probably like old, like considered like old or out of date now. And to the point where where you don't even like, I could probably just run Crisis on my laptop at this point.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen with the consoles too, right? Because like a lot of folks will say, well, why don't I just get a PlayStation 5? And a PlayStation 5 is perfectly fine, or an Xbox X Series, right? Of course, those in their own right they have a market. Computers also require a user who's going to be attentive, to care for it, to make sure it gets updated, to not just be careless and add malware to their computer. But some of these PCs, if not all the PCs at MMAGaming, they are, I say proudly, they're better than a PlayStation 5. And because of course the price, but also the fact that these are a step ahead of next gen gaming, and they're in a path to prepare people that for the next 5 to 7 years you should be gaming comfortably. You shouldn't have to be thinking about, oh, do I need to get the next console, or do I need to get the next graphics card? All the builds that we do have a good lifespan. I mean, they are meant to go the next 5, 7 years for that gaming experience. And also you have a computer, you have to do work, you have to do your projects. Maybe you want to do some Adobe, some illustration, you want to start a podcast, right? And create videos or anything, it's not just gaming, but it's there as well if needed.
The other thing also about PS5 is you don't have to, unlike MMAGaming, I don't have to wait on a 3-hour PlayStation on website line hoping to get my PS5, which I had to do to get mine, and it was very nerve-wracking. What are you playing right now? What are some of the games that you're playing besides Call of Duty?
So aside from Call of Duty, I like to nerd out on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So that's actually in the background right now. I like to plan like daily flights and get like, okay, I'm working and I'm gonna just take off, go autopilot, fly for 6 hours, come back and be like, all right, I'm landing in LA and like real time. Other games that I like to play right now are like Star Wars, Fallen Order, like the Jedi game. I'm also playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I actually played that game on PlayStation 4 and beat the game. But then I told myself, why don't I play this game in 4K, maxed out and see what it looks like. And I went back to my PlayStation 4 and I almost puked. I'm sorry, PlayStation 4 users. But I was like, oh my God, I'm never going back to a PlayStation 4. My eyes were melting. So I'm replaying that game. And of course, I'm playing other things like Madden and FIFA, the sport games that I like to play.
I'm surprised to not hear Grand Theft Auto 5 because I feel like everybody's playing Grand Theft Auto. Oh, wait, you are?
Yeah, I play Grand Theft Auto 5. I've been tempted to put like graphics mods on them. There's mods that with a computer you can do modding and you can mod the graphics and make it look super ultra sleek.
Yeah.
But I got so jaded by the game. I did play the game, I did beat it, but I was just like, Red Dead is just a prettier game. I know some people don't want to ride a horse for an hour, but I do. So I'm cool with that.
It still amazes me though that like Grand Theft Auto 5 is like still like top 10 selling games after all these years. Yeah. I don't know who's buying it. Well, I thought everybody bought.
I'll tell you who. PC gamers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because if you look at GTA 5, that game came out in 2013.
Yes.
And if you were to run GTA 5 on one of my computers, or even any system integrator who has a very good setup, you'll look at that game and you'll go, there's no way this game is from 2013. This game looks like it's from 2021. Like that's how sharp it is. You might see that on a PlayStation 5, but if you go on into a PC and you play the game, you'll immediately know. Like whenever consumers come to my lab to demo, because a lot of people get the chance to demo too. That's another reason why MMAGaming is ideal, especially for folks that are regional. You get to play and demo it, and you get to see it and go, I don't like this one, I like this one. That makes sense, and then you can use the computer, and then I'll build it for you. But I have folks come over, and I let them play GTA 5, and they go, but that's from 2013. And I go, well, I want to show you the power of this machine. I want to show you what a game that is 9 years old looks like on this machine. And then people are like, wow, I can't imagine what a game from 2022 would look like.
Actually, thank you for reminding me as well, because I also know if you are regional, you can have the game. Well, you can have the PC delivered or picked up as well. That was the other thing.
Picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have it shipped to you, or you can come and pick it up locally.
And that's and that's mainly for people that are like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, I guess tri-state area. If that's
normally it's normally folks that are like within like a 2-hour drive. I mean, it wouldn't matter for me if somebody wants to drive 4 hours to pick up the computer. I would totally understand. But it's anyone who just wants to come pick it up. We have pickup times over the weekends, and they can come pick up their PCs.
And I know you talked a little bit about on MMA Sucker. Right now is like the goal to try to get like an MMA fighter to get like sponsorship. Sponsor PC MMA gaming. Is that kind of like what you're trying to get towards now?
Yeah.
Get like a DJ or I don't know, an Izzy level name to like get the name out there.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be awesome. I don't have like the contacts to reach those guys, but I would love to like get a shout out on one of their pages, build them a PC, and maybe just get a couple of posts and put a story up there with them promoting us. That would be awesome. I know we thought about it, like maybe trying to find a way to reach out to Max Holloway or. There's other fighters out there. There's Sugar out there, like the few that you've mentioned. But that would be the ideal goal, is to get one of these MMA fighters in the UFC to give us a shout out and build a custom build for them.
Well, I like DJ because I think I don't he was not the first, but he was the first major guy to like be like, oh, I'm a fighter and a gamer, and maybe the first one to start a Twitch channel. I think he was maybe the first He
Yeah.
was definitely the first UFC fighter to start a Twitch channel from video gaming. I think he was.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And I do know that that's how he makes most of his money. Actually, even now, still fighting in one. And he's the champion there. So if you got someone like
Yeah.
him, you have the one FC flyweight or bantamweight. I don't even know. I don't know how to
He's a flyweight.
flyweight. Yeah.
Flyweight. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess one of the last questions I have is, let's keep it a little bit JMMA related. Do you like Pride? Do you watch Rizin? Is there any you watch mostly UFC or Bellator, or do you just watch grappling? Because I know you just said that you're mainly into grappling.
Yeah. So I definitely watch a lot of grappling, especially like on Flow Grappling. Just watched Gordon Ryan and Felipe Pena. I'm super excited for ADCC coming up this month. I'm sure you are too. Everybody who's into jiu-jitsu is waiting for that super fight. But I do like watching ONE FC too, especially on ONE. Like I'm amazed by the speed of the Muay Thai with the 4-ounce gloves. Like it's the 3-round Muay Thai it's awesome. And also like on ONE FC, they'll have some of the some of the grapplers that are up and coming, or even the guys that are already proven, like Buchecha. I got to see Buchecha in ONE FC and his debut, and now get to see him again, landing that heel hook. It's amazing to see, like, that there's so much selection out there. We're not just tied to UFC. We have Bellator, we have ONE FC, we have local CFFC, there's local promotions. So I'm into it all. I love it all. But right now I'm focused on ADCC.
Is LFA New Jersey based as well, or am I thinking, or no? No, I'm thinking of Ring of Combat. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Ring of Combat.
You're thinking of Ring of Combat, yeah.
That's New Jersey.
I believe Ring of Combat is Jersey based. I'm not sure.
I still am like in the mindset that MMA is not allowed in New York, so I still forget there's actually some regional. So it could be New York and New Jersey at this point, but I'm still used to MMA not being allowed in New York, that my mind sometimes is like, oh wait, no, that's New Jersey, and then it's like, oh no, they actually fight in New York as well. But I know CFFC, that's probably one of the top regionals in the United States, if not at least the East Coast, probably.
Yeah, there's some great guys coming out of that CFFC, and we've had local guys that have fought there too. We have Jim Fitzpatrick, Joe Tizano, a bunch of fighters. All these guys. I mentioned Miller Brothers MMA, where I started my my jiu-jitsu journey. That's under Jim Miller and Dan Miller. Jim Miller, future Hall of Famer of the UFC, has the most fights, most wins in the UFC. Just fought with Cowboy. So we've trained with him and under him too for many years.
Still winning.
And he's still winning. He's still going strong. Yeah. His goal is to reach UFC 300, to be the first fighter to do UFC 100, 200.
Yes, I remember he mentioned that. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So that's super exciting. And, we see him in the gym and he's still going hard, and he motivates us, and I'm sure we motivate him too. And like I said, there's just a lot of guys in that gym right now that are up and coming. And the CFFC is the platform right now. And Art of War too. There's PHK, Maverick. There's just so many promotions right now. So good times.
So quickly, Galvao versus Ryan. Who do you think wins?
I think Ryan wins. If I'm not mistaken, if the rules are still the same, I think Ryan wins. Maybe he gets a sweep. I don't think he'll submit Galvao. I think it'll be something similar to what we saw with Buchecha in that fight with Ryan. But this is the super fight, so they're gonna go for it. But I got my money on Gordon Ryan. I think there's nobody like him right now. The game, what he does, his adjustments. I mean, everybody remembers Gordon Ryan as like some type of heel hooker, right? Like, him and Gary Tonin, they're just heel hooking everybody. But he's developed such a top game now. It's unbelievable. His pressure, his mount. You mount him, he kip escapes. He mounts you, you're done. He's just gonna cook you and cook the beans, right? And I got Gordon.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's a safe bet.
Who do you got?
I'm somebody who always likes to pick the person that everybody doesn't like, or well, that would be Gordon, I guess, maybe in this case. But the internet meltdown if Galvo won, I think would be so hilarious. I kind of have to will it into existence. So I think
Right.
that probably listen, if I'm putting money down, Ryan. But the fallout if Galvo won would, I think, supersede even whoever wins gold at ADCC. We'll still be talking about Galvo beating Ryan.
Right.
Like what months, years after. So so for the sake of seeing people melt down, Galvo for safe money bet on DraftKings or whatever, I pick Ryan. But I guess if you're like, no, that's you can't do it that way, I pick Ryan. I do think I think I definitely can't see him submitting Galvo. Like if he I think that is the least likely scenario. I think if we're to go by what Galvo has looked like recently, he might just get a little bit gassed by, I don't know how many minutes they're doing it. Are they doing it? Is it 30 minutes or 60 minutes or is it unlimited? Do you know the time limits?
I don't know. I didn't look at the time limits.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think Galvo gets tired, exhausted at one point. Gordon's just gonna take his time. He's not gonna do anything risky. He's not gonna, he might even invite Galvo to try to wrestle and almost and use that against him, I think.
It was like, I think also what we're seeing with Gordon is his ability to just cook guys, right? Like we saw that with Pena. At the 30-minute mark, Danaher goes 30 minutes, and then Gordon started picking it up, and then Pena, he gassed out. I know, there was probably a lot on Pena's mind, especially with Leandro Lowe. It just wasn't a good time too for him. But like when you see Pena and how Gordon really just got him to that point of exhaustion, you start to think like, oh, Galvao didn't do that to Pena when they fought. He did take him out. He did take him out of balance and slammed him. And you didn't see that exhaustion from Pena. And I think Galvao, like you said, in this instance, he might be in a world of cardio hurting with.
And I think
we'll
the longer it goes, the more it favors Gordon Ryan.
If it'll favor Gordon,
And I'm sorry, I know you got to leave very soon, but I want you to plug MMAGaming and anything else that you want to plug. Go ahead.
Sweet. Thank you, Andrew. Well, first, thanks, Andrew, for having me on the podcast today. Super cool of you. I know we were trying to coordinate this, and I'm glad we finally got a time to do it. Everyone out there, if you're interested, if you even have curiosity, there's no dumb question with us. Just shoot us a support email. We're at MMAGamingPC.com. We're also at MMAGamingPC on Instagram. Those are basically the two best ways to contact us, through Instagram or on our website. Feel free to go on our website or Instagram. You can DM me directly, and we'll work from there. The holidays are coming. We're going to have some specials coming up, some promotions. So if you want to go ahead and reserve something ahead of time, we could do that and work with you too. But thanks again for having me. And that's pretty much for me.
No problem. And, definitely, this is the place to, if you're an MMA fan and you like gaming, Christian will understand your language. So definitely go to him, whether you're on the East Coast or West Coast. And, or, we do have international fans. Even if you're Japan, I'm pretty sure he can whip up something for somebody who's from Japan or England or Europe or whatever. So don't let location be don't let the location deter you. Appreciate it, Christian. And looking forward to ADCC and what MMA gaming is, how seeing MMA gaming grow.
All right, cool. Thank you, Andrew.